No doubt. And
Yeah.
I think what is interesting is the environment, I think, keeps getting harder. We've talked in the past about the fact that we live in a hybrid IT world,
Mhm.
and I don't see it changing anytime soon. And it's interesting. You pointed out or found this article from CIO Dive that talked about this. I guess there was some hearings in the UK by regulators that were sort of challenging the competitiveness. And what was really the sidebar that sort of came out of this is that AWS and I guess also Microsoft to a degree, they sort of backed this up, saying that one of their greatest competitive threats is in fact the repatriation. Now, we've talked about this in the past, but this is probably the first time, at least I've seen, a public acknowledgement from the major hyperscalers that they're seeing that, and they're seeing it significantly enough. Now, I'm not sure this whole hearing was, you know, it's in their best interest in the case of this hearing to kind of say, hey, we have lots of competition. So,
Yes.
who knows? But I do think it's interesting because I certainly on the ground am hearing this with CIOs that I talk to, that this is a common thing. We're asking every single workload, where should it live? And what that really, the translation is that it really complicates the active management, right? That I'm dealing with multiple clouds. In case almost everyone I talk to now is dealing with at least two, if not three, of the major cloud providers. Plus, they have some on-prem, maybe some colo. I mean, it's this really complex environment now. So I found it interesting, mostly from the standpoint that it's just this sort of public recognition of something that we've been talking about, and just speaks to the fact that I think this is the normal for a very, very long time.
Yeah, I've definitely seen the same thing over the past couple of years that there's interest in repatriation, and it's not everybody uh, leaving the cloud full scale. Obviously, the cloud is still growing 20% a year and will probably do so for the foreseeable future. But it does mean that people are looking at some of those Amazon bills or Snowflake bills or Microsoft bills or Google Cloud bills and wondering if they can do better, especially for some of these dedicated workloads. That is not a secret. And the fact that even Amazon can actually point to specific cases that are relatively large as repatriation issues speaks to the fact that this is a real thing. Even if yes, Amazon said this because they don't want to be called a monopoly and regulated as one in the UK. That's the real reason they said this. But that aside, there is actual competition for the cloud in for a lot of workloads right now, and people are starting to realize that there are still a lot of data center and infrastructure pros out there, and that perhaps hosting a server on-prem is not as difficult as we made it out to be a decade ago when we said everything had to go to the cloud or else you would completely go bankrupt and be dead as a company.
So I actually didn't bring this article up. I probably should have, because you just said something that sort of light bulb. Because I agree. Like I said, I think we're going to be in this space for a long time. Um, but one of the reasons, one of the pushes to the cloud was
Mhm.
in fact just that, this fight for talent. And what is interesting, and I don't remember, I think it was a Wall Street Journal report, was talking about how we're actually for the first time in probably a decade and a half, actually seeing real significant challenges for IT staff.
Mhm.
Um, if you're not focused on AI today, right? No one's that we're seeing sort of that pullback. And what that means is if you're a CIO at a traditional enterprise, you suddenly have the opportunity to pick up some of this staff to manage some of the repatriation and potentially people that have come from the major tech companies where they actually have this experience. So we could actually see this talent flow back in traditional enterprises to the extent that they want to be building those capabilities.